Hello everyone, I'm Joel. In this video I'm going to be learning to paint for the first time with an official spray gun, which should be very fun. If you guys know me, I make mistakes every single time I try something new that I do. So I hope that my mistakes are going to be somewhat entertaining because I already know they're going to be painful for me. And if you couldn't tell, I got a new lens. I've wanted this lens for so long and now I could justify getting it. I really wanted it for this video because it's so much easier to show things when you have a really good lens. These are the big pieces that my car is getting. When I bought my car, it had a completely chewed up fender. And then backing into my driveway one day, I didn't realize I lost a rear shock bolt. And the wheel grabbed on the fender and destroyed it. So I figured getting a whole new fender is definitely going to be a lot easier because of how mangled that arch right there was. These side skirts are off of I think between 1992 and 95 Ford Taurus. So they're very difficult to come across now. They used to be something that was very easy to get because of how common the Taurus was. But now junkyards don't even keep them anymore. They just throw them out and crush them right away. So these are actually kind of very difficult to find. But I've had them in my basement for years. And then what I'm most excited about, the 325 IS cow catcher for my front end. I've needed this for so long. My front end has always looked very lacking in the lower section. This is the perfect thing that bolts right up to what I have already. I don't have to do anything too crazy. And this is an OEM option for the bumper. The cow catcher also came with these beautiful fog lights, which I didn't think I was gonna be able to get. But they are gorgeous. I think this is gonna look so good. I'm also gonna be paint matching these mirrors. They've needed it so badly for a while, and I think that's gonna be such a good detail. The spray gun that I'm using is a low volume, low pressure gun that it works pretty well with small air compressors. I have a small 20-gallon compressor that I've seen someone use the exact same compressor with this gun, and he had amazing results. I like the sound of a low volume, low pressure spray gun because it uses less air, which means there's less overspray when you're actually using it, which I like the idea of that. I have an inline filter off of Amazon, and then the kit that I'm using on top is a Spectre kit from Harbor Freight. Very affordable. Can't wait to get into more details about this. But before that, I gotta get into getting everything prepped. I have no idea where to start. Now that the cow catcher is completely clean, it has a lot of imperfections in it since this is how it comes from the factory. It's just bare plastic how all the other trim pieces on the car are. So I'm going to use 220 grit on a DA sander to cut through all of these imperfections. And down here I'm going to use a plastic welder to fill those holes in. On the DA, I used the 220 grit, but the DA sander leaves less aggressive scratches than by hand, so I jumped up to a 400 to clean it up by hand. I'm finally done with all the sanding, and it looks so much better. I didn't realize it looked that bad. I got this plastic welder at Harbor Freight. You gotta let it sit for like 10 minutes and look at it, it's changing colors and it smells wild. The welder came with all this plastic and I'm gonna use this to try and fill these holes in. I think this should be fun. This thing is melting it like butter. Whoa, that's crazy. I want to make sure that I heat up all the plastic around it that I can too. If that's solid, that was pretty easy. Damn, that worked really well. It's solid now. I'm just gonna melt around it to get everything nice and ready to adhere. And then I just chop off a lump. There it is now. That's really nice. I did not know plastic welders were a thing until Aiden told me about it. Thank you, Aiden. You're a legend. I was originally gonna fill this in with body filler, but that would have been junk. I want to leave it a little high so that I can sand it down, but I think that's going to be the best bet right there. I dug the corner into the bumper, so I had to try and save it, but like there might be a little hole right there. You can definitely overwork it. I think that's the one. This side is going to need a lot more construction. There's like a big ass gouge up here. This should be fun. Holding it in the same place and just letting it absorb some heat and not moving it seems to make it look really good, and I bet that's very strong. This is a messy one. I gotta be sloppy and just heavy with it. Yeah, what are you laughing at, Omar? What's funny, yo? Damn, I think that's gonna get sanded out pretty smooth. I think that's just about as good as I'm gonna get. And I could come in with a little plastic Bondo and fill in all those little pinholes. I'm gonna use some IPA to clean the area up so that I can use that flexible bumper Bondo and fill in all those pits. I've had this sitting in my toolbox for years, so I'm gonna use this to give it a little skim coat. This is my first time using an actual mixing tray. Cardboard soaks up so much of the material you're mixing with, that might not be enough.
Boy whipped up a mighty half a gram.
Let's hope for the best. Damn, this metal mixing tray is so good. There's no material loss. Making sure to push really hard and try and fill all those little imperfections. I think that's good right there. Now I can move on to the side skirts. I got them all cleaned up with the soapy water. In the sink, made an absolute mess. In the process of me moving and having these side skirts, they got a really deep and nasty scratch. I gotta figure out what to do with that, because that is definitely gonna be visible. Perfect. Now I can accurately trim it.
The fit is really good.
I think the way to cut right now is along the base of this ridge right there, and I can get rid of this leg at the same time. I'm gonna try and scribe a line into here. I'll be very careful with it. I doubt this is just gonna be able to bend like that. I'm gonna have to go basically all the way through for this shit to bend. I think I'm gonna try the heat gun there. This is a fucking cancer producer, bro. I could probably even cut it right here so that only this side has to bend. And then just plastic weld it back up. Like what the, this plastic welder allows me to do so much. Look how much it's bending, holy shit.
It's like,
Ooh, god damn.
you're getting that factory bend to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Plastic weld that shit right there. Just right there. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm gonna come in and melt a nice weld into there. Came off?
Mm-hmm. That's sticky.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard. Because I'm gonna have to heat up both of them at the same time. I was able to use the plastic welder just to get the 2 pieces of plastic really hot. And once those 2 are warm, then it's gonna accept any amount of plastic. If I just add plastic in without getting this or this really warm, it's not gonna stick. I'm trying to get it to actually work like a weld with metal, where you gotta heat up both sides to get good penetration. And it seems to have done a really good job. I'm gonna try just to apply some heat and have that be the only thing that cements this joint over. But damn, I'm feeling so optimistic. I think this is gonna look really good when it's all painted. Damn, that looks pretty good. Holy shit. What? I'm so unbelievably impressed with how good this came out. That corner, there's just, this face is nice and flat, this face is nice and flat, and then there's a nice straight line going down. Damn. Damn, this came out so good. I'm really hyped with that. I'm currently using no interface pad, but I think it's leaving low spots. So I'm gonna use an interface pad so I can mold around the side skirt. This is gonna be a little buffer for the sandpaper. That looks so good. That is so beautiful. It creates such a nice line too. Damn, I am so pleased with the outcome of this. This said it dried in 30 minutes, but it took all night for it to get kinda hard. Hours after, it was still sticky. So hopefully this wants to sand away. I don't know when to stop. It's smooth, but I don't know if there's any high spots. I think that's good enough. I can see the outline of the original hole that I repaired, so I think that is when I can call it good. I don't feel any kind of pinholes or anything. Holy shit, that actually worked. I didn't think the product was gonna dry all the way, but that looks 30 times better than before I did the little glazing. Damn, once that putty actually dries, it does a pretty good job at hiding all the pinholes. That looks really good compared to those 2 gaping holes that were there. Now that the side skirts are all sanded down, I'm gonna come in and do the same little body filler on all the imperfections. This time I'm gonna add more hardener, because it did take a very long time to get hard. All of these have dried up nicely. This filler was a pretty bad idea. It's gumming up and getting nasty. So yeah, this is just annoying. I should not have used this stuff. It's leaving like a gummy residue on the side skirt, and I have to apply so much pressure here that it's chewing around it, and everything else around it is looking way worse because of it. And then over here, it didn't even fill in the big ass scratch that it had, and it's just leaving the gumminess everywhere else. So it's making the quality of the whole side skirt way worse. That body filler on the side skirts was destroying every sandpaper that touched it. I'm not gonna be using that again. There's a little hole right here on the bottom, and then inside you gotta rotate a little ring in there. So I'm gonna try and do that, and it pops the mirror out. I don't wanna break this shit, but it's not coming out. Shit! I got it. Let's go. This is gonna make painting it way easier. Here we have the dustiest mirrors ever. I think this is one of those very small things that it's just gonna do so much for the car. The passenger side looks like it's all smooth, so I can just scuff it up and spray the paint over that. But of course, on the driver's side, it looks pretty scratched up, so I think I'm gonna have to sand it down. But I'm not gonna use 220. I think 400 on the DA will do. I think that's all the prep it takes. This is the result after the red pad. I'm mainly looking for how flat it is, and there's no real nicks and dings in it. And then once the primer is down is where I think all the imperfections will show, if there are any. Now let's get a good before and after of this next one. Just a red Scotch pad. This is as much as I'm gonna do with the red pad. Like 45 minutes of good scuffing. There's still a few small imperfections in it, so I'm gonna see if the filler primer can fill that in, because if I don't have to get rid of all of that, that will be very helpful. With this Aero Pro A610, since it's brand new, I took the flow needle out and took it all apart. And I'm gonna use some lacquer thinner to get all of this cleaned up. All of the panels are finally fully wiped down with this maroon scuffing pad. Now I'm gonna use some of this. It's like a wax and grease remover for plastic. Now before painting anything, I'm gonna sweep the floor up real nice and good. And I'm also gonna drain the tank of all the air that's in it so that there's no moisture inside of the air compressor. Oh my God. We have never drained this tank and we always leave it full. Holy shit. I'm gonna fill the tank up a few more times and do that again, because that was a crazy amount of water. A little bit of welding wire coming in clutch. Now the final wipe down before paint. The adhesion promoter only goes on the bare plastic, so on the side skirts I gotta be kind of careful. It was 3 minutes, not 10. Coat number 2 is done. Now I gotta mix the primer. I'm gonna be using the 4:1:1 mixture. The amount of paint that I'm gonna be mixing up is to the 1, the hardener to the next one, and then if I went to the next one with the reducer, that'd be 20%, I'm pretty sure. So I want to do 10%, so I'm going to go in between halfway with the reducer. This is super nerve-wracking for me. I've never sprayed this officially, so I've been wanting to make sure that I have nothing go wrong, but at this point I just got to get to it. Nah, man, the hardener. Holy shit, I'm fumbling. I'm making a fucking mess. Okay, I'm leaving it there. Holy shit, I've made a mess. Forget about the mess. Gotta get to painting. Let's pray for the best. I'm so nervous, high key. I'm spraying at 26 PSI at the gun. I don't think I mixed enough primer. Did I? I have no idea what's going on. This is so nerve-wracking. I don't know how I'm gonna get a good result with this. I am so bad at this. This is so difficult. I'm freaking out, yo. I don't know how much paint I have left. I'm freaking out. That looks horrible, but I don't know. I've calmed down a little bit. It was looking so textured because I was only pulling the trigger a little bit and only a little bit of paint was coming out. But then once I just committed to pulling it all the way and moving quickly, it came out a lot better. I'm gonna let that sit for 10 minutes and come back and do another coat. These side skirts were looking so rough. That's where I was freaking out, and it's leveling out pretty well. Oh shit, that's a nasty run. Oh shit. One big thing that I was really looking for was that I had no idea how much paint I was gonna need. Since it hardens up and it goes bad, I don't really want to leave any extra. And I have that much left. I don't know how much that is, but it's gonna make do. I'm definitely out of paint. Fuck! I mixed up some more, kind of a lot, so I'm just gonna do more coats with this. Since it's a high build, it'll fill in all the imperfections. I did it so heavy in there, but I was trying to get all the way down. It is so difficult to get down in there. It looks like shit right now, but I'm hoping it levels out. I'm really hoping all of that levels out. It looks like shit. I definitely have to figure this gun out. I don't know if it's supposed to be spraying like this. I don't think so. It's been 25 hours since I shot the primer, and it's all looking pretty good, but it needs some work. Aiden suggested that I hit this with a wet 400 grit sandpaper, so I'm gonna try that on all of these because this is a filler primer, so I did go heavy, but on the side skirts, they got some texture. This scratch is also still in the side skirt, which, yeah, I don't know. I'm honestly just gonna leave this shit. No, I really should have used the plastic welder to fill that scratch in, but it was going so well with the plastic welder, so why'd I switch? But I don't know, it's too late now. I got all of this sanded down with wet 400 grit sandpaper. You can really see all the low spots peeking through under there. Like there's also some low spots. It was really bad before. After the first pass, I keep forgetting I have to apply a pretty good amount of pressure to actually cook through the paint, which is what I want to do right now. But when I do that, it goes way quicker. Like it's already almost good enough after one pass. And these are the last big runs that I got. I just got done wet sanding this side skirt. It still has this texture to it that it looks like there's just hella low spots that are peeking through. I deep down don't want to keep wet sanding it because it's taking so much elbow grease and time. But as a painter, I have no experience at all. I don't know what is going to show through the paint, what's not. Now this Fender is coated in an EDP coating, which is electro-deposited primer. And to see if it's properly done and not just sprayed on, I'm gonna wipe some lacquer thinner onto this, and if it's done properly, it should not come off onto the rag. If it doesn't come off, this will save me a lot of time. Is it coming off? Nah, right? No, it's definitely not coming off. Yeah, I'm good. So that means that this is very rust resistant and the coating was done properly. I saw someone suggest using dish soap with this red pad, so I'm gonna try it. It'll help clean it in the process too. I'm gonna roll this lip on the fender with that heat gun on the floor and the hammer. I find I have the most control when I'm just tapping it with the heat gun. This is a bad idea. Oh no. I need to use a microfiber so I don't chip the paint. I have figured out my big issue number one. So the reason why the primer was coming out so spotty and so bad was because right here, this is the air adjusting valve that controls the amount of air going into the gun. And then here's the regulator that controls also the amount of air going into the gun. So normally you're supposed to leave this all the way open and then use the regulator to regulate the amount of air that's going into the gun. But it's fully closed right now. I have this valve all the way open. When I depress the trigger, it shows nothing. And then when I'm adjusting on the back, and it doesn't move. I'm adjusting it and it's never going above 20 PSI. But my issue was I used this to control the pressure. But in doing so, I didn't realize that I was basically closing the valve all the way to get to the pressure that I wanted. So there was no airflow coming out of the gun and it wasn't atomizing properly. And when the paint atomizes, it's basically the air mixing with the paint so that it comes out nice and smooth. It wasn't doing that. That's why it wasn't coming out smooth. It was coming out spotty. And I was freaking out trying to fix it, but I didn't know the solution. So that's exactly what I did. I did that adjustment, not realizing that just a few turns more, it's gonna completely shut the air off to the gun. There, it's closed. I barely did any more turns. So that's definitely what my issue was. It was way too difficult to spray the paint last time. And I was like, yo, if I have to keep doing the base and clear exactly with that setup, it was gonna be a nightmare if I didn't figure this out. I got a new regulator. Let's see if that fixes it. Damn, yo, I'm kind of dumb. I had the air compressor set to 60 psi because someone on YouTube had the same air compressor and the same gun as I did, and he was painting a whole car and the compressor was set to 60 psi. I upped the pressure to 100 psi in the hose now. This is the new regulator, but I think the old regulator would have worked like this. It's dead perfect 26 psi. So, and this is wide open now. So I'm gonna finally be able to get this paint down. And I got a new coupler fitting right here because it was leaking, and that helped the consistency a lot of the air in the gun too. Honestly, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that when you're wet sanding, you really want to push pretty hard. I was doing it so soft and making no progress. I was sanding for hours. But now, I just come in with some actual elbow grease. Look how much material is coming off. That is what I want to see. I learned my lesson the first time. This top edge on the side skirt is going to be the most visible piece. It sits right under the door, so I've neglected these greatly the first time. I'm not going to make that mistake again. Like usual, I'm gonna come in and hit everything with the wax and grease remover. Make sure everything is 100% clean. And with that, I'll be able to use the tack cloth. Now I'm coming in with the adhesion promoter and hitting only the bare plastic spots where I sanded through the primer and it's showing, so that I can just finish up on the primer. Since I'm using 4:1:1, I'm bringing it up to a 2 since I added the Fender instead of the 1. This made it way easier to pour the paint. Ready to spray. It's looking good so far. A lot better than last time, I must say. I'm going to try and start inside the pockets first, because I struggled a lot with those pockets last time. It's looking really good. So much better. Let's go! That came out really well. It's spraying so much better now. I kind of messed up again too. The first time I ran out of paint when I was spraying on the valence, and when I ran out, it was shooting so much sputter, and I thought that was a result from running out of paint. But that must have just been when I had the wrong settings, because I mixed up 14 ounces of paint, and look, I still have a shit ton of primer left. There's 4 ounces of primer in here. I definitely could have done another few coats on the stuff there. The gun is working a lot more efficiently now that it's working properly. So for 2 coats on the fender and 1 coat everywhere else, it used 10 ounces of paint. Now I'm coming in really lightly. I don't want to burn through the primer, as I just did. This is the paint that I'm using. Holy shit, that came out quick. Yo, this is insane. Holy shit, that came out quick. Right there. She's ready for paint. I might have gone a little bit too heavy on this first coat, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is the right technique, but I'm seeing if it works. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's a pretty heavy first coat. That last little pass got it really heavy. Fuck. First coat is done. I'm going to do 3 coats in total. Oh no, I ran it! Oh shit! I'm going way too heavy. Fuck! I'm gonna have to wet sand those. And over here! Okay, I'm going way too heavy. I might have made a really big oversight. The 400 grit is not enough. There's a lot of scratches still in the surface. I don't think I should even do the next coat because if it's still visible in the second coat of base, fuck. In the forum, someone said that they sprayed 400 and there were still scratches through the base, and then once they sprayed the clear, it all went away. So I'm just gonna continue. I don't know. This is kind of crazy. Everyone that was in that forum was saying, yo, it scared me a lot. So maybe this same fear that I'm feeling is what they felt. Get a look at that. The 400 grit is showing everywhere. In person, it is so noticeable, but it's very hard to get on camera. Actually, you can tell. I've always heard you have to have it looking really good, nice and smooth. So that I'm conflicted. I don't know why this is looking like this. Maybe I should have done 600 grit instead of 400 grit. Let me say, it looks really good though. The black is nice and solid. That's why it's such a shame. I don't know what to do. I'm so conflicted right now. On the side skirts as well, it's very noticeable. Oh, right here is a very bad one. Holy shit. I got a paint stirring stick around the 800 grit. Then I'm gonna have to come in and spray paint on this. I was mainly looking just to get the runs out and get the surface all nice and smooth, and it is. So I can come back and spray a little more paint on here. I'm gonna come in and tack cloth everything since it's been sitting for a few days. I gotta come in and put some more base coat on it. Please don't tell me it's running again. No. I can't look at it. If it's running again, I'm leaving it. Fuck! I have never had so many small issues that are this time consuming in one project. Right before spraying the primer, the air compressor's drain stripped, so it was just bleeding air constantly, so I had to go to the store to get a new one. Then I had the gauge pressure issue that I thought, but it was just adjusting the pressure. But now, at 100 PSI, it's not even making 20 PSI anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know why all of a sudden it doesn't want to work. I just want to spray some fucking paint. Oh my god, I don't know how to figure it out. That's the worst part, and I just have to do a whole bunch of research until I figure it out. That's just the way of the game. This shit is so annoying. So I'm opening it. What the fuck? All the way open. I need 30 PSI and it's not even hitting 30. This is crazy. And I can only set the air pressure to 100 because when it dips down, it's gonna make the pressure fluctuate. I could go to 120, but it's not gonna be able to maintain 30 PSI by the time the compressor kicks on again. It's the next day now. And it's good. And it's not adjusted all the way to the end. I don't know what the hell. I'm gonna go spray this clear before it starts acting up again. I am so over this and tired of this. I'm trying to keep the camera safe from overspray. This spraying technique is so bad, but I don't know how to get around it. It's very orange, peely, and ugly, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna let it sit. This is a fast clear coat, so it's gonna cure in 3 minutes. And then the second coat, I'll come in and go a lot heavier. I'm gonna put my camera in the office. This overspray is crazy. This is 2 more thick coats, so 3 coats in total, and it's very orange peely. So I'm gonna mix up some more clear real quick and try and get a really heavy coat on there, because Aiden was saying if you want it to look like glass, it has to be heavy on there. So I don't think I went heavy enough. I'm gonna go again. Oh my god, it actually came out pretty good. So I realized on the 3rd coat that I was not doing a good job at overlapping the passes. I was kind of just doing one here, one here, one here, and leaving it at that, but it should be like 80% overlap. Like there should be a good amount of passes that go over the panel, which I was just skimping on it, but this is the fabricated side right here with the plastic welder. But 45 minutes to an hour later, it actually flattened out a really good amount. So I'm definitely gonna be able to come in and wet sand all of this. I really like that all the 400 grit sanding scratches in the primer are gone now. That was just something hidden under this clear coat now. Or that's what makes the clear coat stick a lot better. I don't know. It made me very nervous, but I'm glad that there's no issues with that now. I had to keep mixing clear coat because I was running out. And I used half a quart of clear on these 2 side skirts, which that's kind of brutal. That's a lot more than I expected it was gonna be. I only bought 1 quart, so I'm definitely gonna have to go out and get more. This painting shit is so expensive. Now I know why people charge so much, because the prep work alone is worth it. And then all the painting supplies and everything on top of it is so expensive. On the side skirts, these little pits that looks like fish eyes appeared to have disappeared, so I'm very curious to see what happens to that. I think I mixed way too much clear, yo. I'm so fucking upset. There's way too much in here. Ah. That's all in the clear coat. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This shit's a disaster. Holy shit. And since it was a fast acting clear coat, it started to dry up inside the gun, and I didn't realize that. So while it was drying up, I grabbed the mirrors and I started spraying onto those, but since it was already dried, it was just spraying a whole bunch of stringy clear coat all over the mirrors. But since I moved the valence to the dirty side of the shop, I got a whole bunch of dust in the valence, destroying both of the things I was trying to do just because I mixed up a little bit too much clear. So I paid the price for it. I just went straight into it because I didn't want to talk about it anymore, since I already made a whole nother video on it. I can't lie, I'm so dumb. I've been doing all my wet sanding with just this sprayer, but I saw YouTuber Sprayway Customs. This dude is a legend. I don't know why I didn't think of a bucket. And I have the water really warm in here, so it's nice and cold in here, so this is warming me up. But when this residue is on there after wet sanding, you just use the microfiber towel to clean it up instead of wasting a paper towel like I was doing. This makes so much more sense. Holy f, I didn't realize I was going that hard. I'm just gonna get this smooth so I can just spray another layer of base coat and then the clear coat right over that. If it's smooth, then it's good to go. Damn, the mirror just fell on the floor. I don't know what happened. This shit just, it gave out. It's fully sanded down with the 600 grit and red scuff pad to get into all the little nooks and crannies. This is ready for base coat. I don't know if this is through to the plastic, but I don't think it is. It might be just some high spots. I don't know. But I'm just gonna paint right over this. Now since I moved this valence to the dirty side of the shop with the clear coat kind of still wet, there's a bunch of dirt in the last top coat of the clear coat. I'm going to come in with 1500 grit and I hope it gets rid of all this dust. If not, I'm going to have to respray this whole thing, which I don't want to do. Oh damn, it's actually really visible when I turn the ISO up. I got to be really careful. There you can see the sag is almost out, so I really can't be sloppy. I have to focus on only the run so that I don't burn any clear coat around it. It needs a little baby amount more. There we go. There's a clear view of how much orange peel there is. Now, I don't know if I should use the super hard block or transition to the softer block, because I don't know if these are just drastic high spots that were already in the panel beforehand. I don't think so though. Shit, see, like this is the stuff that I would be researching, but like, I just have to stop spending so much time researching and just do it. The sag is basically fully gone. I did do 4 layers of clear, so this better not burn through. Maybe I should use the softer block. It's almost gone, so I gotta keep going until it's fully smooth, and then I can come in with the 2000 grit and get rid of the 1500 scratch marks. I'm done with the 1500 grit. Aiden suggested I do the whole process on one corner. If I need to change something, I'll be able to throughout the process, which is a very good tip. If I would have done that when I was ceramic coating the E30, I would have known that I wasn't compounding enough. Yeah, I see now why he wanted me to finish it, because I don't really know how much to go. It's really hard to gauge. Isopropyl alcohol. Oh man,
Looking shiny.
I need some more microfibers. Fuck.
Shit.
Oh my god, Aiden. What is this technique? Holy shit. It definitely needs some more. Maybe. It looks good and shiny, but this is a good before. Dude, that's in the clear. This looks crazy. That looks horrible. Wait, what the fuck? It's so visible. Dude, what is going on? No. I mean, I don't think I can go any
Oh no,
lower.
I think I did just touch it. I guess it does, but.
Dude. I was wet sanding this Fender, and I was using the really harsh tap water, and it was leaving water spots on the fresh base. So I panicked and grabbed a mix of isopropyl alcohol and water. I sprayed it on, and it immediately started reacting with the base coat. So I've had to redo this Fender since I did that. But because I also had a few runs, the 3 here, a sag there, and the 3 up there, I had to redo the whole Fender. Since it was a brand new Fender, I thought that there was nothing in the bodywork, but there's a little ding there, there's a bigger ding there, there's another ding kind of right up top right there. There's also that pinhole right there that needs to get filled in. So essentially, the whole Fender needs to get redone. I didn't know how I was gonna roll the Fender off the car, but with these little plastic clamps, I'm gonna get it done like this. You guys already know I messed up. This is... I guess this meant that I wasn't done learning. Is what having to go back and work on this Fender is. I rolled all 4 Fenders on the E30 with this method, but when I was doing it, I was being a lot more cautious because I had good paint here. I was like, oh, there's no paint to worry about, so I'm gonna just go at it. The paint isn't the only thing you have to worry about. As you probably already know, there's a big ass dent here. I got a dent right there from the stand. When I was hitting on it right behind it, it was just mashing straight into the Fender stand. I was just trying to go through it quick. And of course, if you slack at all, it will punish you. This is crazy. Even though all the dust came onto the valence from moving it to the dirty side of the shop, I was still getting overspray everywhere because there's not any ventilation in this shop. And then if I open the door, it lets all the warm air out. I finally got the full DIY paint booth set up. I have this intake fan up there so that I can try and pull the dust and air out from these 2 exits. And then everything is completely sealed. The floor is all sealed. I had to add the tape reinforcement because it was bulging a lot, and I want to use this for multiple days. I don't want it to give out, and I used a pretty thin plastic, so I can get it expanding. This is wild. I was just trying to use some wax and grease remover before the primer, and it started peeling all the paint off. I actually cannot make this up. I sprayed alcohol before onto the panel to clean it, and when I was spraying the primer, I instantly saw it reacting on the panel. I didn't spray it down with the air gun. This stuff right here is just bubbling, and it does not look like it's gonna lay flat. So I'm gonna stop here, let it dry overnight, and then come back and figure this out. Since I had a chemical reaction over here on this corner, I sanded it all down with the 220, and now I gotta come in and give it a bunch of light coats to try and fill that in so that the chemical reaction doesn't take over again. But I just used a rag with the water to clean it all off, and now I'm gonna tack cloth it and not use any degreaser, just go into it like that. It's spraying a lot better this time. Look at how puffy the booth gets. That's why I ran the 3 tapes, so that the plastic doesn't rip. It's laying a whole lot better this time around, thankfully, or I'd lose my mind. After sanding the guide coat, now the low spots are very noticeable. That's the big dent that I put in it from when I was rolling the Fender. I'm so upset about that. There's a small one up there. The pinhole right here got filled in with the primer. And all the other little imperfections look to be filled in, except for this tiny little one right here. I have to do a little bit more filler because the little nick in the middle. I had to put the glaze on 3 times to get it right, but I got it eventually, and that body line looks really crisp. I just kept staying on this angle all the time, and then at the end I just came at matching the rounded side. And it gave it a really nice body line. So I can spray some primer on this. I went through the primer and a tiny bit of body filler is showing, but that body line looks really good now. I'm so excited with that. And up here as well, but that should be good. Everything on the panel is dead straight now. So the panel is 100% ready for paint now. Finally! Holy shit, this took so long. Finally, the last step before finishing all the paint. I'm using 400 grit on the valence, and I'm coming in and basically using the clear coat as a guide coat, because right there I have to keep sanding to get rid of the orange peel, and then once the orange peel is gone, she's good to go. I was spraying all the nooks and crannies of the fender like I always do first, but I was panicking and I was seeing that I was about to run out of paint, so like an idiot, I said, let me just go spray these mirrors real quick. And I completely forgot to go back and do another coat onto the actual fender. So I only did 2 light coats instead of the 3 that I originally thought I did. And if it wasn't for this recording, I would have never known that I did that. The adrenaline was through the roof, and I was so focused on one thing that it just completely left my mind. Even though I'm in here, it is still pretty dusty. This is crazy. The clear coat actually came out pretty good. It looks glassy, but bruh, the dust inside of the little tent ended up being very bad. Damn, which sucks. Look at how glossy it looks, like actual glass. But once again, there is dust everywhere. Damn, and it looks so good besides that, which sucks. The mirrors don't look too bad either. There's a run there, but I backed into both of them on multiple occasions. It doesn't look like there's any parts where there's no coverage on the mirrors, which is good because they're so complicated. But there I backed into it and touched it on the second coat of clear, which is so annoying. Yeah, it actually looks good, but the fucking dust. And then over here, the real disaster of it all. I got runs on the entire panel, which isn't the worst thing ever, since you can wet sand it and get them all out. But yeah, there's dust, and then the biggest thing, I didn't get good coverage on the base coat, and you can see some primer through it. On the top, it looks so bad in person. I know that's gonna be very visible in the sunlight. And then also there, you can kind of see the body filler, which is insane. I guess, yeah, I didn't do a good enough job on the base coat, which sucks, because it does look really glassy. I would be able to get these runs out, but I didn't do a good enough job on the base coat. I was trying not to get a run on the base coat, and in turn, didn't get good coverage. This whole process has been so overwhelming because anytime that I did one mistake, it would happen to all of the panels, which I think that's the biggest thing that I regret now. If I were to do it over again, I would do one panel at a time. Prime it, do the body work, do the base coat, do the clear coat to the whole panel, wet sand it, get it done completely to one panel, and then do the next. And then do the next, because every single time you're going to be getting better at it. But I would never allowed myself to actually get better at it because I was never able to see the results. I was never able to see if what I was doing was the correct way to actually do it, which if I would have done it to one panel, learned, don't do that again, I wouldn't have to fix that same mistake on all the panels every single time. And it was so insanely time consuming. I really don't recommend doing what I did. If you want to do something, start slow. Don't go 100% into it. This was very ambitious of me, and I paid the price for it. It took so much longer than I expected to, and I still don't have a good result, which is so painful.